From the Fantasy Formula One podcast, we are going to discuss a little thing called porpoising. And it is something that when it happens, it really plagues drivers, and it could have a huge impact on their race. It could have a huge impact on your fantasy team. So I wanted to touch on it real quick. So as the air goes underneath the car, it is Bernoulli's principle. As the air goes underneath the car, as the medium goes underneath the car, the velocity increases and the pressure decreases, and that pulls the car like a suction. It creates a suction between the bottom of the car and the ground. The bottom of the car isn't flat. The bottom of the car is three-dimensional. The bottom of the car has a bunch of aerodynamics to it. So that's a positive. And so you want, as the car is driving, that aerodynamic, that suction between the car and the ground to help hold the car down. The issue is when with how you get porpoising, that suction works, but then it gets either too close to the ground, as I think the issue Mercedes had back in 22. It gets you too close to the ground, and there's not enough suction to keep the car pulled against its suspension. And then, as soon as there's not enough, the car will pop up, just like having a suction on something and then releasing it. Whatever you were holding onto that suction lets go, the car lets go, and it returns to its normal ride height. Well, now there's enough air going underneath it to start that suction back again. So it pulls the car back down until it can't anymore, and then that suction pops, and the car goes back up to its normal ride height. And not only is it very uncomfortable for the drivers, from what I hear, but it does horrible things to your aerodynamics. Your car's shaking all around, and it's not at all good. And how bad was it? Well, Mercedes had a horrible, like I mentioned, 2022 year, especially at Azerbaijan, where Lewis Hamilton could barely even get out of his car due to how bad his back was hurting. And if you're going at, the numbers I found is if you're going at 205 miles per hour, so it's 330 kilometers per hour, the drivers can experience enough porpoising to really negatively impact their safety. And the FIA intervened mid-season in 2022 and introduced a vertical oscillation metric, unquote, that forced teams to reduce porpoising or face fines or disqualification, which is good for the driver's safety. The Red Bull designed a car that had less porpoising, and Mercedes initially struggled with it really heavy in 2023, but then the new upgrades to the floor made the porpoising go away. And it still reared its head in 2024 some. And like I said at the beginning, I don't think it's really going to be too big. Hopefully, it's not going to be too big of a factor in 2025. But when I watched the preseason testing in Bahrain, I did not see too much porpoising. I don't remember them talking much about it. But yeah, so that's porpoising. So if you hear about it, cool. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully we go off 2025 and it never rears its head. So be sure to check out all of our other content, though, and get caught up in all things Formula One and Fantasy Formula One related before the teams lock. Cheers.